gets a length and a half clear, and Autumn Glow remains unbeaten. She was born a winner. She's the real deal. Right up on the inside at the 250, she's an alibi, slipped through and with acceleration put up 2 or 3 lengths in front. She's an alibi with 100 to go, it's over. She's 4 lengths in front, she's 5 lengths in Autumn Glow just in front. Seapoles is trying to make a race of it, but now she opens up the shoulders. Autumn Glow got a length clear. We're looking at greatness. She's an alibi, is going to scrape paint, breathe in, and drives up on the inside with Mystery and Drama. She's an alibi, accelerates, clear to the front from Mystery and Drama, Salty Pearl. Off she goes, she's an alibi. Autumn Glow now gets a neck in front. Aliana showing tremendous fight on the inside, but Autumn Glow gains the upper hand. She's the perfect 10. And she's a alibi. Got the upper hand from Autumn Boy. Then Ninja, Attica, Rivellino from further back, but the filly pins the ears back. What a performance. She's a alibi. Different class in the Guineas. But Autumn Glow's broken away. 11 out of 11. Perfection. Absolutely flawless. Here she comes. She's an alibi. Is winding up down the outside, and the filly, look at it go. Oh my goodness, different class. She's an alibi for Jamie Mellon, the first filly since the great Sunline to do it.
But she's obviously a very talented horse, and a bit of pressure on. It was fantastic for Peter Moody to bring She's an Alibi up. That's great for racing. That's what people want to see. So well done to Pete. You made me nervous all week.
Listen, we just read into one too good on the day. We came out on the back of the winner at the 3 or 400 and we couldn't go with her.
And now on PG Podcast Network, it's time for the year-round carnival with Vince Accardi and your host, Racetrack Rolfie.
G'day, thanks for checking out Year Round Carnival. Each and every Monday we look at the best racing in Australia and the best horses in Australia were racing on Saturday. 2 tickets to paradise. That's what the racing industry's got this spring. 2 tickets called She's an Alibi and the mighty Autumn Glow. Vince Accardi from Daily Sectionals. Let's break it all down. Good morning, mate.
Yeah, good morning, Ruffy. 2 tickets, that sounds good.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, when we were kids, this was Ali Fraser or Borg McEnroe or something, isn't it? Hopefully there's many more of these battles to come. What did Randwick play like before we deep dive into the race?
Yeah, well, realistically, even though the figures to the 800 overall, we ended up with about a 1.1 or 1.7 below. When you take away a couple of the fast run races and slightly slower, I felt we really came back down to something that was more like a -2. So in the slow range, probably I'd say 5 would be worst case scenario. And it was further backed up when you look at it from the 600 to the 600 metres was plus 1.25, the 400 plus 1.96. The finishing, from the home straight to the finish line, that last couple of 100 metres, plus 2.29. So I felt we were on a rock solid, probably G4, G3, pretty much from the 600 to the finish line.
They've just got Randwick absolutely humming. Hopefully they get a bit of luck with the weather this spring carnival because what they're doing at the track is just brilliant. A few of our members' questions to set us up as we look into the Wings Stakes. From Darren, hi Ralphie, reckon you could spend an hour on the Wings Stakes and still have questions. Great race. I'm sure you'll cover it all. Was there any chance She's an Alibi was a bit flat after a massive squeeze in the trail? Or was it just Autumn Glow had a better race shape? I'm convinced She's an Alibi will be a better horse. So about if there's some chance of flatness from She's an Alibi's big mid-race move. From Luca, I'd like to hear your opinions on where you would send Autumn Glow based on the numbers, King Charles Mile or Everest 1200. Waller mentioned the decision will be made after speaking to a few sectional times experts. We've got the best one here, no doubt about that at all. And then finally from where is it? From Don. Don is good. I was probably going to ask what everyone would like to know. She's Alibi, tardy at the start. In my opinion, no speed in the race at all conspired against her. I'm interested how Vince processes with his ads and minuses, disclose any sign of how in the future, if these two line up over a similar distance or a mile, there's speed on race shape, who would be most advantaged? So we always give our members a chance to participate in the questions. That sets it up. Vince, what did Autumn Glow do on the clock on Saturday?
Well, first of all, the speed, 0.8 below benchmark. Given that the BOIC was out, that's decent, isn't it?
Yes, there was some fears once it went out that it would be a bit of a walk dash home.
Yeah, so it wasn't. There was honesty there, and Lindemann made sure of that honesty because he was travelling 2 lengths below. There was the gap started. Lady Shenandoah 3 lengths below. Autumn Glow, and I'm just rounding off 4 lengths below. She's Alibi 5.5 to the 800. I felt this race was all about one thing. Stage 1, the massive move in the middle, and then who got impacted with the slowdown. And it was a genuine slowdown. It wasn't a scenario where it was the track that was playing the slows. It was actually steering that was playing the slow. And what I mean is this. If we look at Autumn Glow first, 3.9 lengths below benchmark, effectively about a 1 1/4 length had a head start on She's Alibi. The mid-race squeeze, 11.2 for Autumn Glow. She's Alibi, 12.7. Now, the entire field, and this is putting it into perspective, Ralphie, was plus 7.1. So there was really no slouching. Fangirl was probably the biggest, but it was one of the furthest back with a plus 8 above benchmark and a squeeze that was 17.7. So it just doesn't matter at that point. When there's a big squeeze like that, it really comes back down to whose position where is going to dictate the outcome of the race. And then it got further accentuated with what happened between the 4 and the 2, Ralphie. And this one, I couldn't actually see this in running, but this is going to give you all the tale of the tape. Autumn Glow's gone from 6 to the 4 plus 4.5 to the 4 to the 2 half above. So that's a 4 lengths velocity slowdown. And then rebounded the last 200 metres, and it was ridden. It wasn't like it was coasting. It was 0.7 above. Now we look at She's Alibi. 4.8 above, 6 to the 4, 0.9 below, 4 to the 2. 5.7 lengths loss. So that's 3/4 of a length on its own. And then you look at the last 200 metres, 1.9 versus 0.7. Pretty much tells the score, board, everything. IVR figures 4.3 Autumn Glow. Unbelievable. Really unbelievable. Autumn Glow plus 2.9. PB as well, first up, from a first up perspective. But the story's right there. Head start, 1. You could see the impact there, Ralphie, between the 4 and the 2, what that actually cost the horse. Another 3/4 of a length. And then the acceleration, you could see that Alibi very late was making some ground. It was actually 1.2 lengths plus the 3/4. It's 2 lengths, Ralphie. Now, if it was even energy all the way across the board, I feel that without me saying which one might have won because the winner was Autumn Glow, they might have crossed the line a nose between them.
Just amazing.
That's what we've got to look forward to.
Oh, wow. So, firstly, if you're just sort of picking up the type of language that we speak here, so the squeeze is the big acceleration, the turn of foot required. So what this was, and this is, I call this an inverted V race shape. So modest early, big surge in the middle, and then a massive slowdown that Vince has described. Always ask why when there's great jockeys doing it, because the great jockeys, I use the phrase ride to the numbers. They're not intending to ride to the numbers, but it's amazing how often they do when they've got it on their terms. I would think Vince, Midnight Dynamite, gun ride Tim Clark on a 40-1 shot saying, right, let's put some heat on the race. I'm on the race fit horse that's inferior to every other horse in the race, but I'm race fit, so I'll go for it. Now, at the top, he's actually spent by the turn, and the likes of James McDonald knows he's going to go past Midnight Dynamite on Autumn Glow. So he's just cuddling her, and that creates the slowdown. What's your thoughts there?
Oh, spot on, Ralphie.
Yeah.
You can see this when you go at such a brutal tempo with that squeeze in the middle, because you're coming off near benchmark line. This is Midnight Dynamite, like you rightly pointed out, and then ask for a maximum explosion, which is really trying to put the acid test on everybody, and that's what it did. You could see then Midnight Dynamite from the 4 to the 2 was -4, and then it was almost 5 lengths below benchmark last 200. It was done, and it did. It was done between the 6 and the 4, Ralphie, and everybody just slowed, and it was. For many of them, it probably felt like a little bit of a breather, because I'm not sure what would have happened if they had kept trying to go. But this is high pressure, and that's what happened. And it was all created by Clark's, real big burst of speed in the middle to try and bust the field open. Well, or make it very testing.
Yeah. So then we get to something you touched on. I'll get you to put more meat in the bones here, because it's such a truism of the IVR platform. First up PBs. Autumn Glow, the best ever performance first up. She's an alibi, the best ever performance they've done first up. And as you've described, not with the perfect flow of energy. So this is just so massive for both horses.
Yeah, and it's really crazy. Like Autumn Glow, there's no way going into from the trials, Ralphie, that horse was there. It got the PB because it had serious competition.
Yes.
That's why. And McDonald was not going there and saying, well, I can loaf along here or there. It was like, I'm going flat to the boards all the way to the finish line, because if I don't, I might get beat. And I don't want that to happen. No one wants that to happen, obviously.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why we've got the PB going up from 3.5 to 4.3. This is just from one prep to the other. So this is big sign. Big sign that means that now I could comfortably. I've always thought Autumn Glow was definitely a +6 horse, something like that potentially. I'd say we could almost bank that now that this is where we're most likely headed. But the other runner, and this is She's a Alibi, who's gone 2.2 better than its previous best from the previous campaign, 1400 to 1400. Peak with a 4.7 is really looking. I've got her on my graphs like +7 or higher.
So let's okay. I'm going to pull apart two things with each horse, because sometimes the easy thing is to go to the runner up when the winner's great as well.
Exactly.
Firstly, the flip of the coin, Everest or King Charles, because she can't run in both. At this stage, did she teach you anything? And what is your overview about her 1200 capacity versus her mile capacity?
This is for Autumn Glow?
Autumn Glow.
Yeah, well, you see, you had a little bit of a slowdown. I felt that the horse didn't come into the trial, from my perspective, like right on point and ready to just blow the lid off. And it did blow the lid off, which, really does, Frank, that we got more to come. From a speed domination on what's needed, let's say for a 1200 metre race, it's very difficult for a horse like this to even be in the position it was in running on the weekend of 14, because the pace, well, I'm taking an assumption here. Maybe I'll be wrong with the Everest could be run very slowly, and then Autumn Glow could be right up there if it was running in that race. But realistically, if we just look at more recent times, you have to be capable of managing a +3 or 4 in that first section. That would mean a horse like Autumn Glow, to sit in the same spot, would have to be going at least +2, +1.5. What would that do? And then if you had a big surge in the middle, what would happen then? So the reality would be that horse would be probably 6, 7, maybe 8 lengths further back. And then who knows? Can you reel all that ground in? It depends on where you're drawn, all these things, Ralphie. So
there's one other thing that depends on. If it's Carly Rising up front.
Well, I'm sure that horse is coming, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And so I would think there's, unless, like, Chris Waller will keep his options open until he can't.
Really?
Until he can't. Now, and by that I mean, the reality is, Carly Rising still isn't in the country. Now, everything indicates he's spot on, everything, but things happen in horse racing. So
Yes.
There's no reason for Chris Waller to make a decision now. Hence, he's too smart to make a decision now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fair enough. So that would be the challenge. And of course, if you got into a race with this sort of shape and it was 1200, well, no question, then it's going to be dangerous, isn't it?
But in a mile, we just know how good she is. They're going to be running the same day. And here's the other thing that I'm thinking of is with Kay Rising coming. The question is, it could really hurt her, completely gutting a 1200 race. Whereas a mile, she probably wins. And if they want to go to Royal Ascot next year, why would you take on Kay Rising in the spring?
Yeah, maybe for, was it 12 million? What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I know people say Group 1 and all these things dictate the terms. No, the money dictates the term. 12, 15 million. If you're good enough, we'll go there. Why not?
So you're graphing Autumn Glow as a +6 horse, which is just phenomenal. And if you think if it goes to the mile, it just wins there. If they did it teach you anything about her profile if they chose to go to the Cox Plate, which I don't think they will, but let's say they do, just for her 2000, which she failed in quotation marks at against Sir Dilius in the Queen Elizabeth.
Well, I still feel it's really unfair. Like if taking that one run. Sure, we've seen Cox Plates where they've gone +8.6, +10. I mean, this horse did go +8.5. Maybe that's the reason why they're a little bit distorted in that view of going to that sort of race, the way it finished off. But the reason why I'm saying it's unfair to mark it on that, there's two prime examples. The first prime example is that if you look at that prep, first up, it was 10.3 lengths below benchmark first section. Second up was 14.3 lengths below benchmark. So there's no hard pressure racing. Yes, big squeezes middle, big squeezes late. It's very different to early because it really changes the aerobic nuances of the horse. And then the third up run was only 0.2 above Ralphie. Okay, it was a big step up. But then you went to a +8.5. It's the second time in your life that you ever tasted that medicine. And mind you, when it tasted that medicine the time before, you had to go back 2 campaigns, and that building run where it did 8.1 was actually 4.2 leading into that above. So the step was small. So that's why I say to myself that if you're just purely looking at that run as saying no for the horse at 2000, I would say that's unreasonable. So I definitely would not be sitting here myself saying that, yeah, no, you're not going to be as good at 2,000 metres. No way. I would just say this is what happened to you. Your setup wasn't spot on getting there, not the setup of the trainer, just the setup of the races that have faced. But the way you handled it was unbelievable because another horse that would have been asked to do that, they would have finished another 6 lengths further back, Ralphie, with that type of campaign leading into a 2,000. So I'm just sitting here saying, no, I don't feel that's the case. I still feel the horse would be extremely dangerous at 2000. And the Cox Plates of recent times have not really been like what we used to see a decade ago. Also, knowing that the Cox Plate's going to be a Flemington, very different, very, very different. The tactical structure, because everybody has it in their back of their mind. You see, one tactics, Moonee Valley, short, straight home. It's different to
hit your position in the first 200, creates heat.
Yeah, and you've got to, you got such a long straight at Flemington. I just feel it's completely different. So that means, a horse like Autumn Globe, which you'd never, ever considered 2,000 metres, I hope Mr. Waller keeps his options open still.
So it comes to She's Alibi. You said something about a +7 potential horse. My instant reaction looking at your numbers yesterday morning, I said in any other year, in a previous era before the Golden Eagle, which is its target race, I thought that was a Cox Plate winning return. Now the Golden Eagle's her goal, and she won't be running in the Cox Plate. There's zero chance because of the huge money on the Golden Eagle, which is in 2 months, 1,500 at Randwick. But that to me underlines that, gee, something, of course we're talking about, ordinary luck, etc. But something special is going to have to come from overseas to beat her 1,500 at Randwick in 2 months.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be one of the scenarios. So a few things to look at. I was a little bit surprised about it wasn't, cleanly away.
Yep.
The race. That's interesting, I thought. Don't know where that comes from. I felt that, worked on in the podcast, the preview of that particular race, that the biggest headache was always going to be barrier 1.
Yep.
And just with the cluster of Waller horses, it's not hard to work out that they weren't going to be giving it any, not that they were going to diminish the chances of other horses. They were just going to race tight and make it very, very hard for you to get that split time. So pushing up and wanting to get into a position that they felt was reasonable, not that it had a dramatic impact because it was still travelling 5.3 below, but what it did is it pretty much meant that that's your only spot. Now, had they gone back like Fangirl, well, you see Fangirl's run was unbelievable, like unbelievable. But the reality is when you have such a monster squeeze, it doesn't matter how big that mid is. If you're given a 8, you got no chance. Doesn't matter. Not Winks. Even Winks wouldn't have picked anybody up. Not even Car Ying Rising would have picked anybody up from that spot. It's just, it's just not going to happen because Car Ying would have to go plus 10, Ralphie.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just, it just doesn't. Those things just won't happen. So he put himself there, and you can see that extra 3/4 of a length, critical. That's momentum velocity inside that line, going from the 4 to the 2. That had a big variation because I'm extremely confident there would have been nothing between them across the line. Now, I'm not suggesting that She's of Alibi would have won because you don't know when the other horse looms up if it was going to find something more. You just don't know that, right? And
Yep.
that could happen. So that's why I say nose between them. And this is my take of it. So, yeah, this horse is going to be also, how hard is this horse going to be beat in anything moving forward? I guess it'll be like a little bit like, I couldn't believe the Whirlpool. Like, I mean, they smashed it, didn't they, Autumn Glow? Like, smashed it.
Oh.
Beyond belief. It was $1.01 a place. Man, I was going, they were happy to take the 1 cent or the rounding off the 5 cents, whatever you want to call it. Unbelievable.
It's just a customer ripoff. It's so disgusting.
Now, I reckon the TAB needs to say with these Whirlpools, you got to have a floor $1.30. now I'm being facetious, but it's got to be like $1.10 or something. Like
take out
on your money.
Anyway, that's for another era. Okay, so they're two phenomenal horses. Returned at their best first up. Can't wait for the rest of the spring. The others are well worth talking about. Starting with Gringotts, Vince. I declared him on the pod of how well he's gone. We declared him in his trial was so good on both the members bonus pod and on my trial session. I wrote 7-year-old who's won 6 million prize money at 8. He's set to add to that big time as shortly as this trial to go with a hard closing second on very wet ground after a big hold at Gosford. Screams he'd come into play when he steps out. Now I went on to say the data, but the point being that Gringotts could not have been going any better at the jump outs, and I thought there was only 2 horses in the country that could have beaten him, and he came third.
Yeah, and you well said, Ralph, because the performance was like stellar. It was a stellar performance from a 7-year-old. I mean, overall on the scorecard, plus 1.2. I look at that first, and I'd say, yeah, okay. You come in a little bit behind what you did at Ramwick, a little bit behind what you did, like after that let up at Rose Hill. And even if I go back to, another couple of campaigns, you're sort of like on that mark. So this is beautiful. We know where it's at. It was just a little bit further back than She's Alibi. And when I say a little bit, we're talking about a quarter of a length, half length. So not a lot. It was there. Squeeze was a monster. And for a 7-year-old to be able to do that, wow, what a campaign he could be potentially having as well. Had to deal with a bit of a slowdown. Didn't quite have that finishing burst, but it might not come next run, but it's definitely coming after that, Ralphie.
Lady Shenandoah, I thought pass mark, good. I was delighted, had her in the first 4, but I just thought overall scorecard there, just below benchmark. My gut feel says she's a 1,200 horse.
It could be, Ralphie, but the trials were indicating you're behind.
Right.
And then if you look at the scenario from the 400 to the finish, there was pretty much nothing in the 4 to the 2 and the 2 to the finish line. So this horse was pretty much spent at the 400. So that may point out a little bit about what you're saying, that it's possibly a 1,200-metre horse. We've got to remember, though, it does have a 3.9. I just felt that it was in a big need of the run, and the 5.5 lengths loss overall in the last 400, and this is on micro splits. If you look at actually the sections, it's more like 10, but we've got to allow for that, slowing down. It's quite significant. Expect a big elevation on this horse. This horse is going to make us money, Ralphie. I just hope, well, when I say it's going to make us money, it just depends on who. If it's avoiding these two, it's money coming.
Well, that's it. It's so much chess and checkers now from placement and avoiding the big guns. I'll bracket these two because their mid races were very similar. In fact, nearly identical. Cello Wolf and Idle Fire, and I'll put the overview here that neither are first up horses. So I thought Joe Pride, who actually has tweeted that he was delighted, and Matthew Smith would be delighted with both those performances as a kickoff run.
I should have been for sure. Had plenty of time to breathe, but the squeeze is the squeeze, and the 14.5 length squeeze is significant. Cello Wolf did it superbly. Really, it was good to see, because this is a horse that I felt we've never really seen the absolute best of this horse, in my view, for a number of reasons. So it was good to see this situation pan out for the horse. That it's had 21 length squeezes, Ralph, and 16 length squeezes. Just the big squeeze is a sign that the horse is going fantastic. Hopefully they're going to be, off this run, they're going to be able to come up with a strategy. They've got to almost do, this is my view, Ralphie, what they've done, what Ma did with Jimmy Star. Find a way where they can get this horse a little bit more forward.
Yes.
And Joseph Pride's also done that with Private Eye, right?
Absolutely.
A giant back marker and always storming home and could win anything if it was a bit closer. And they started putting it more forward, and in some cases it even leads because there's no pressure. This is what I hope they could try and do this with this horse, because I have no doubt that this is going to be competitive in any race that steps out, and that was proof there. Now, of course, I'm always putting the caveat for sure. It can't be against these two.
Idle Fly will go to mares only. I'd love to see it at Melbourne and Empire Rose. Looks her type of race. And speaking of coming to Melbourne, I don't know when he is, but talk us through the run of the Derby winner, Green Spaces. I thought if you wanted to have the perfect Caulfield Cup kickoff run, there it was.
Yeah, it was dynamic. 8.6 lengths below benchmark early, Ralphie. Obviously, you're in a non-competitive spot. And you can just see, Fangirl 9.7 below, Aliana 10.5 below. They're right out the back, right? But Green Spaces, Herculean mid-race move, 16.3. Only one horse better in that race, and that was Fangirl. So it was a monster squeeze. What I loved big time about this, which you're just not going to really catch with the naked eye, Ralphie, is what's happened between the 6 and the 4. It surged with a 5.7. Only Fangirl outclipped it at that point. Now, they're out the back, so they're entitled a bit more, but this was the bigger difference. When you look at the velocity slowdown from 5.7 to from 5.7 to minus 1.8, that is, Ralphie, a 7.5 length slowdown. Now, the horse didn't break benchmark, or was 0.2 below, so rebounded. Imagine if that didn't happen. Imagine if that didn't happen. 7.5, I can tell you now, on Smooth Energy, horse probably runs 3rd or 4th. At worst.
Well, it's currently favourite for the Caulfield Cup. I would say the Green Spaces run there was their perfect Bart Cummings style first up run.
Monster, yeah.
And here's one. I'll just finish with Fangirl, because you said about how the run was monster despite it being well beaten, and this marries up with what I say about the best jockeys riding the numbers. Have a listen to what Tommy Berry said. This is on the Racing New South Wales website. Very strong gallop the whole way. At the 700, it felt like they put the foot down just at my top the whole way, which isn't her sort of go. She peaked probably at the furlong. So he said he felt like the surge came in at the 700, which is almost exactly what your numbers state.
Yeah. And this was it. So you can't give, firstly, a horse like Autumn Go 5-length head start and then have this dynamic kick in the middle. This just blows everybody's fuel apart, Ralphie. The energy depletion is massive. That's what we're talking about, because you look at, these are the facts. When you look at all of them glow and you see just a 0.7 above benchmark last two, you would say, oh, that's not that good. You're kidding me? It is unbelievable with that squeeze because it would have been all out. There would have been nothing left. It would have been full of lactic and still did that. And so you imagine a horse like Fangirl, we're talking almost a 3-second squeeze compared to Autumn Glow, who didn't even quite do 2 seconds. So a whole second more. That's 6 lengths, Rob. Just broad figures. It is unbelievable. I hope we see this horse again. Now, the hard part always is this, and this is the challenge, and it's a trap for me and for the form students that aren't totally aware on how we use the numbers. It can be a trap for them as well because I talk glowingly about a whole bunch of horses, but when they step out next is so important because a lot of horses can be flattened off this run, Ralphie.
Yes.
We have to be careful, and this is important. But, we're going to be there to dice it apart anyway.
We certainly will. We're going to do it this Friday as we go to Melbourne for the Memsey Stakes. Will be our big preview podcast. We big deep dive on the Friday, and the members, the top up Saturday morning will be back as well. So we'll be doing that. You can get that via my website, racetrackralphie.com.au. Click through the links. Preview podcast. There's a 4-week discount option, which if you want to join in, which will be Randwick the following week. It'll be Flemington's Mackay Diva the week after that, and then Rupert Clark the week after that, back to Caulfield. So we're going where the best races are each and every Friday for our preview podcast. And our members bonus, well, we've still got a heap of stakes races to talk about, including a couple of good performances at Sandown. But before I end up, Vince, I'm just going to say, yesterday, Goulburn Cup, just party from David. Not a question, just a comment. Members bonus, just party. Very good work. He is absolutely happy with that, as were a couple others, because just party. Here's one from Jason. Just recap the party at Goulburn. $19. Thank you, Vince. And it was on our on the trials as well, where I said 5-year-old with top 5 finishes in 8 months without a victory since October 24 means he's had a hard-earned non-winner tag. This blistering trial says he's in for a super prep. And I went on and explained the numbers and then got the money yesterday, Vince, at huge price. Someone had a good bet. It was 26s in the morning. It started 12s.
Yeah, well, I want to also add, Ralphie.
Yes.
How good was the market? It was this our first little piece that we did.
Yes.
And it was because we didn't do a mini pop, but we're going to be having this, right? That market intelligence report, sizing up our IVR key runners, which is generally our top 4, which over the long period has been sitting comfortably at that 70% band, right? And then overlaying with the market movements and getting that document, just in case you might forget a few things and you want to revisit to see exactly how that's shaping up against the market. I thought that was a nice piece. And this is part of that. If it's a new introduction to what we do into our, podcast previews, right, of races, adding that little bit of extra flavour and getting that market intelligence. And that was all done in collaboration with Daily Sections and Fable, Ralphie. So bringing the new intelligence into the throw, because I would never do that in the past. Number one, Ralphie, no time on a Saturday. But once you've got the time, effort and everything set up and you can push the button and deliver this sort of report, why not just have some more information for us to look at? Because it's very powerful, particularly if you understand the nuances of how to measure these horses that we have in the top 4 and finalise it against markets. Because a lot of people like to look at markets, right? For me, I'm so simple. I'm only interested in $1.30 or more. I probably make it boring. But I feel that by having this adds to what we're doing to make it a premium. Like I always felt it was already premium, but just to add that layer, that hopefully it's another dimension.
That's it. It is. You're paying for a premium product and you're getting a premium product. We're not giving out tips. We're giving information, and it's at various angles. Deep chat on a Friday, update on a Saturday, and now Vince has added this extra layer, an extra document, which gives you other things to study for a Saturday morning, because you spend your money however you want. Once you become a customer with us, we don't tell you how to spend your money, but the information there is there for you. So hopefully we can help out this Friday. In the meantime, thanks so much for listening to Year-Round Carnival. Our members bonus will look at some of the big runs that we missed in other races.